Pipe Network presents.
On this episode of Season 5 Reflection.
Yeah. For me, you know, just thinking about that question, if, um, like, if I could turn back time and, took a different path, I would say it's really different to what my life is currently. Although I'm happy. That's the thing. But um, to me, if I took that different path, I would say I would be that guy that's more like out there, like being more exposed or more, more outgoing.
If you want to learn something new or useless about the world around you, why don't you try listening to the Banyu Podcast Reflushed on Spotify, Anchor, or any podcast app that you use?
Welcome back to the series, the Reflection series. And my guest today is a friend of mine, and we met over our work, and it's an honor to have him here. And this is going to be an interesting show about reflection. So, ladies and gentlemen, folks, my guest, Carl Ventanilla. I hope I pronounced it right.
Yeah, actually, you did. Thanks so much, Rod. That's the first time actually that you pronounce my last name, and it's good. It's good. Hi, guys. Shall we?
Awesome. So we're recording this episode, we're also live in Bigo, and the continuation of the episode will be on this day, but the pre-recording release will be released next Wednesday. So before we begin this conversation, I gotta ask, who were you if you and I were classmates in high school? Are you the jock? Are you the nerd? How would you describe yourself in a high school setting if you and I were classmates?
Yeah, it's actually a good question to start off. If in high school, like to be honest, in high school, I wasn't a cool kid, so I would say, yeah, I would just be like, the low key guy,
Hmm.
and just that humble low key guy, in some corner. I experienced that when I transferred here in the Philippines, third year high school,
Hmm.
and yeah, I was really that silent one to be honest, because yeah, transferee vibe, silent here, silent there, and just really that low key humble guy. So
I'm glad you're humble. Yeah, that's how I met you also. Very humble. I was the first person to approach you about questions, and it's been an interesting thing. And here you are on my podcast. It's really fun, and we have lots to unbox here, especially in terms of reflection. I gotta ask, reflecting, looking back at life. Um, in your life, was there any moment in your life that you would have taken that would have changed the paradigm of your life?
yeah, for me, you know, just thinking about that question, if um like if I could turn back time and took a different path, I would say it's really different to what my life is currently. Although I'm happy. That's the thing. But
Hmm.
to me, if I took that different path, I would say I would be that guy that's more like out there. Like
Hmm.
being more exposed or more, more outgoing. You know, um, more adventurous, because that's the side of me that um, I'm really trying to take out of me, because like right now in my life, of course, you and I know that it's really about grinding to,
Yeah.
for the future, especially me. Just wanted to share, guys, I have a kid,
Hmm.
6-year-old kid, and so that's my goal. I mean, that's the reason why I'm working very hard, with my first job, and glad to announce that I just got my second job last week. So just really grinding it out, guys, for the
Mm,
future. But if taking a different path, I would say that I would be that outgoing and adventurous type of guy.
mm.
But at the same time, one characteristic that I will make sure that it will not, um, or one characteristic that will not be, you know, like gone from me is that of being humble and staying true to my roots. So yeah.
I gotta ask follow-up question to that is that the humble and kindness, because you're a very kind person when I approached you, and I remember doing so. I gotta ask, do you have a philosophy that you live by, or a book that you live by, or a movie quote that rings your head and reminds you that this is when you start the day, this is who you are, and this is how you live life? Do you have that kind of philosophy that you live by?
Um, yeah, actually, for me, not much of a philosophy, but really a mindset of me that wherever you are or whatever standing that you have in life,
Hmm.
whether you are at this highest point or at the lowest point, always keep your head up. You know, you just need to really be humble at all times, especially that the generation right now. So
Hmm.
um, I mean, for me, it's just really um, me being that consistent in terms of being humble and kindness, because kindness and humble can go a long way. So
Hmm.
let's say, if we're going to turn back time a little bit from that moment when, you were asking for assistance. So let's say I'm that, that boastful SME in work. So, that would not bring me, anywhere. So for me, it's just really kindness, humbleness, keep that in me as I grow. And, that will just really make me in the long run. So,
That's interesting and it's powerful. You have a very powerful Zen type of vibe that I'm getting already. I don't know if you can feel it, but I can feel this Zen type of vibe, this Buddhist kind of humble. It's nice.
yeah.
Yeah, and I love
Yeah.
it. I love the humbleness, and it brings good energy and brings motivation to those who are listening to us on our podcast. And it's an interesting dynamic because nowadays we're with our generation, it's more of the impatience. And I don't know if you agree with me, it's all about me, 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 me. And I think Dalai Lama said this, if there's anxiety and saying it's all about the me generation, and if you want to eliminate the me generation and live out of the anxiety, you got to stay humble to the presence of serving others. And that's a powerful connect, uh, and it's really a powerful connect, and I love it. I love it, and it's
Yeah, I just wanted to add as well. I think it's going back to what I said about being humble and kind. I think it's just really me where, um, my parents actually,
hmm,
like they taught me well ever since I was a child. Like the simple Filipino manners or the hospitable type of Filipino. That's the thing that they taught me ever since I was little. So I just brought that as I'm growing up. So I'm just really thankful, blessed, lucky to have very supportive parents, very supportive aunties. So really they just guided me through to being that that kid, that humble kid. So yeah, like I said, I wasn't really that cool type of um, cool type of guy growing
hmm.
up. So I've been bullied as well, just to put that there. But and it didn't affect me. So that's the thing. It didn't affect me growing up from the bullies. It just really motivated me to just stay consistent.
Hmm.
Humble and kindness, and that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, consistency and being influenced is very interesting. That interesting out thing. You have that self influence already, and you already know what it is that you are. That's really interesting in terms of understanding oneself. And I would like to point that out because sometimes people nowadays it's very hard for them to determine uh, self, the identity, because growing up we get influenced by many things. Even bullies are the only way that bullies are bullies is because they've seen people done it through influences. And I really admire your power of influence over yourself, knowing that you have that sense of strength that holds you back from becoming the worst version of yourself. And that's really a good thing. That's really a good thing. It's nice to look at it in that angle. And it's an interesting uh, perspective, because as a child of Indian heritage, I want to relate this to my story. In my life, I've been bullied as well, but for different reasons
Yeah.
because of my skin
Same.
color. And that was when I was growing up here. And then I went to India, and the story was much more different. But when I grew up here, I was bullied, and I kind of never took that. I never took it personally until, of course, until I learned how to fight back. But that's a different story. I'm not the physical. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm a scrawny guy. I'm a lover, not a fighter. And but in my way, I really go out to this. I go out through this philosophy that I learned earlier in my childhood, which is one of the gospels. Jesus, when Jesus offered someone to slap him, he offers that's one philosophy that I've never shared with anyone, especially and I still practice that. Is that if anyone slaps you, you offer them your other cheek. And that's the thing that I used to live by earlier on in my life. And then, but that changed my way of outlook of people as I grew into different phases of my life. I still had that solid foundation, but of course I grew to become a different person. When I went to India, I became a different person because of the influence as well, that that instilled to me that love is that kind of powerful thing. And it's a kind of powerful conversations right now. These are stuff that nowadays are not being shared. And conversations nowadays is all about it's all about what's
Yeah.
happening in the
True.
news. And it's nice to take these things and take them apart and discover a piece of us. And that's the reason why I created the show, is to to talk about those tiny things and to philosophize and to take them apart and to bring them into a different perspective, and letting the listeners say, hey, this is new, this is something new that could be worked on, could be empowering. And that's one thing I love about this show. With almost um, 65 64 64 65 guests that I've had, I've always shared the love for storytelling. And that's the one thing that I love. That's why I open with the beginners, and that's how I do what I do. And it's all about the stories. I love the stories. Speaking about reflection, could you take us back to a particular uh, moment that you personally would have, it goes back to the same question that I had earlier, you would have taken that dark turn, or that turn that would have made you a different person? Could you take us back to that very story, take us through the storytelling of that?
Yeah. Yeah. Going back to that one actually. Um. Yeah. This. Yeah. Either way, this is the unfiltered true side of me. So,
Yeah.
um, way back in college, like, I had those thoughts actually of being that rebellious type of son,
Mm,
especially that on the start of my college years, it wasn't that pretty because I chosen a course which my mom actually my mom actually chose for me, and I mean I tried hard to really get to the actual learnings of the particular course.
mm,
I'm not gonna mention it because, especially for our viewers, yeah, it took me years actually. So I wasn't on track to the supposed date on
mm,
when I'm going to finish that course. So I got delayed in some subjects. It really it took me off track,
mm,
especially with my batchmates during that year. So yeah, there some subjects that I also failed in college. So it's really the topics that that don't interest me. So um, way back then, yeah, going back to that one, that's the turning point of me going through like the dark side of it, or the dark side of me. See,
mm.
now we're referring to Star Wars all of a sudden. Anyways, yeah, that took me like a curve in my life, especially that especially when obviously when you fail, it gives you big pressure, especially on your parents, that sending your report card telling them that I can't do this, I failed on this subject, yada yada, and instead of being inspired or giving me words of wisdom, all I got was um, you know mouthful and a mouthful actually. So that that turned me to, or that gave me the turnaround to choose a darker path for me. So like, I went to parties, I drank even more, and then at one point, yeah, I found love. Yeah,
Mm,
that yeah, love also was part of me turning to the darker side of me, especially heartbreaks. And so until God forbid, third year college, I truly found the course that was really for me, and proud to actually tell you guys that it's BS marketing management, and really just thankful that you know I got to graduate with the course that I love. And just to actually share, guys, what happened is that I got delayed two subjects on that course because of the K to 12 system.
mm,
That affected as well the availability of the subjects. So I was afraid. I was afraid to tell my parents that we will need to pay a huge amount just to take the class, because we're just actually two in the class. So what happened was, instead, that's actually a deep secret that I I hid to
mm,
my parents up until now. So I hope they're not watching. Yeah, because I didn't want them to worry actually. During that year, we were actually at the point of financial struggle.
yeah.
My father retired happily, and my mother's a proud housewife. However, it was actually at that point where I had to step up for myself, especially that if I don't take those two subjects, then I would be extended another year in college.
Okay.
So I really just took the initiative. And from the darker side of me, yeah, and the initiative of really, doing an effort, or working for it, for the money to take those classes, that was a turning point of returning to the gooder side of me, or the old me, wherein humble and kindness. So just really thankful for that moment. And yeah, that's how I started in TP actually. Just because of those classes that I had to pay a huge amount full. So instead of me asking for the money from my parents, I had to do something about it. Like I had to work while I'm having those classes. So I also remember the time where I had to excuse myself from class because I have a training at work. So I'm
Mm.
also really thankful though for my instructors because they allowed me to and they understand why I'm doing it. So thankful as well to God that I was able to balance both until yeah fourth year came. So so it's just really me going from what school from the greatest SLU actually. So I'm from
Mm.
SLU Baguio, graduated SLU Baguio marketing management. So there, yeah, um it's just really me going back to darker side of me, gooder side of me. Then for here comes the last year of my school year, and you know I'm having thoughts of going back to that side of me again because um imagine me having those last subjects, especially my OJT on the job training. Then I have work, and
Mm.
then I'm an officer in one of the orgs. So you can just really imagine the stress and the
Yeah.
the anxiety, and I could say that that full year I wasn't able to really sleep that much, or I wasn't able to really rest that well, since I had to grind it out for me to graduate. So really from that summer class, third year up to fourth year, those were my grinding moments. Like I had to really work for myself, like to graduate for myself, especially that I wanted to help out my mom and I didn't want them to know that I had to pay a huge amount just to complete those classes. So yeah.
Wow. It's very, very powerful. Very powerful. You are a powerful and strong-minded man, and I really admire that. And you have my respects as an honorary guest. You have my respects because there are rare people who have that ability, and it, with rareness comes real originality and uniqueness, and the, you are powerful in some way. And I hope this this episode inspires others, because to me it's it, the way I see it is it's powerful. It's I know I say powerful a lot, but to me I really find it powerful to meet people coming from different perspectives and taking taking their stories and building it up and understanding it is very powerful. And I, like I said, from the bottom of my heart, you have my respects, because not a lot of people have the ability to do that. Some of them, of course, I can admit it from my end, I had to live off of what my parents have done, but at some point I have to learn the lesson. And to me, I'm learning the lesson that hard work really pays off. Putting myself into your shoes, into your storytelling, is because it really brings that different uniqueness. And yeah, you have 100%, you have my salutes and my respects, pal. That's really interesting.
Thanks so much, brother. I mean, although yeah, some people in the office or some people that know me think that Carl has that perfect life. No, I mean I went through struggles. I went through obstacles in my life ever since I was a child, or ever since when I was in elementary. Just
Mm.
to clarify that. So you know, it's just really me continuing to learn about how to overcome those particular struggles and obstacles as I go along with life. And the thing that I wanted our viewers to really understand is that life will challenge you in a lot of ways. So you may not feel that right now, but um, in the future, let's say when you have your own business, or when you have your first job, or second job, or whatever that is, life will challenge you And my my advice to that is stand your ground, never lose faith, especially in God, and at the same time, um, always remember to have that social life. You know, that's one thing I learned so far
Mm,
in my life. Like, especially if it's purely work,
mm,
then I just work, sleep, eat, repeat.
yeah,
So just really have a bit of a social life every now
yeah,
and then. It helps, to be honest, especially that it relaxes you.
yeah,
It releases all the negativity in your mind. Like for example, at work, how stressful our work is. So you know, um, yeah, humble kindness, stand your ground, have faith, and the most important thing that I think this is now the question that you asked me about my philosophy is to never lose hope. So for me, until there is time to make up for it, or until there is time to um, you know really have that, or sorry, let me rephrase, like
mm,
until there is time to make it happen. So never lose hope. Like for me, I'm just grinding it right now, but you know in my everyday life, I still keep that hope that I'll be financially stable, live a happy life, and more importantly, I'll give a good future to both my future wife and my kids. So, yeah.
awesome. It's it's such a powerful episode. I really love this episode, and it's one of my favorites now. And it's an honor having you share your story and come out with a story because um, life stories are those that have greatness in them. It's just that those who pick on the wrong things may change the narrative of it, and it's powerful. It's just powerful to know that there are a lot of people who have a different perspective in life, and this is one thing I love about people is that you open up the parallel between one human to the other, and you bring that comparison, and you bring it to a nice level that even experiences teach you uh, that the moral of the stories are not that same, but they have some kind of quality. And yeah, and that's uh, like I said, is in this episode I've been saying powerful a lot. I'm sure I'm going to be called Mr. Powerful because I say interesting a lot even in my fewer episodes.
Yeah, but I mean, it's the word really that counts. So the word's powerful. And everything that I mentioned, which it will be an advice to our viewers.
Yeah,
It's really the thought that counts on it, guys. Like never lose hope. So that's really a big thing, especially that like for example, right now, right? So we just had a recent earthquake here in the north. So some people would really have flashbacks, especially. Not sure if our viewers know this, but the 1990 earthquake. So
yeah,
from that moment, you start to lose hope. So that just an example, like in these kinds of situations. So until there's time, there's always hope. So yeah.
that's indeed true. That's indeed true. You know, the fear and the paranoia sets in with many people. So we have to be stronger than that, like our guest. We have to be stronger, strong minded, and find the right influence that creates that dynamic within us and builds our character. And I'd love to continue and continue some more with the episodes. Unfortunately, this episode is time limited, and of course, we're gonna continue this on the Bingo Live, which Bigo Live. Why did I say Bingo? Yeah, Bigo Live.
Bingo. Yeah.
And
I
this,
mean,
yeah,
yeah,
this,
we'll continue this. Yeah.
yeah, this is an interesting conversation. Before we leave this conversation, And before Zoom locks us out of this thing, I gotta ask, uh, I gotta ask if there are people who want to connect with you via social media, well, how will they find you on social media?
All right. Yeah. Thank you, Raj. Yeah. Before I get to that, yeah, I would like to also thank you, Raj, for giving me this opportunity to really share, the true side of me. So, I entitled it in Unfiltered, in my, in my social media accounts because, I think that's the correct term,
Yeah,
especially that if you wanted to really know, the story of that person, you have to show the unfiltered side of
yeah,
him or her. So I just really wanted to thank you so much for this incredible opportunity. And I would really say that with today's show, this would really boost both content for us, especially that in Bigo, I'm really struggling to find what would be a more solid content. So right now, I just found it right here.
awesome,
So
awesome.
more of these really help me. So for our viewers and for those of you guys listening, yeah, you can reach me in my social media accounts. My name is there, Carl Ventanilla. And on IG, it's actually a tricky one because I had to remove all of the vowels. CVNTNLLA 13 at IG and at the same time Bigo Live. So there. And I hope I was able to, yeah, I have a supporter here and a solid, a solid supporter of mine. Have an interview with my friend some other time. Yes, of course, I would love that actually. Um, so they have to prepare. They gotta prepare, but it's not going to be scripted because we want to really see the unfiltered side of
Yeah,
our guests. So yeah, so stay tuned, guys. Stay tuned. So this unfiltered series will not end here. So it's a start, and
yeah,
it's an honor actually to start this off with my good friend from work. So thank you so much,
yeah.
Raj. Yeah.
And you have my love and respect, uttermost love and respect for everything that you've done and the hard work that you've put. And I love the story. And yeah, like I said, I wish we could continue this story. Who knows? We may have a part five, part six, or we may have more parts. But since we are on limited time, uh, yeah, we have to. It's a challenge for me. First time being limited. And for those who are tuning in from Bigo and from from who are listening to the episode, I want to let you know that the episode transcripts will be on my website. You'll find that out on Spotify. It's available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. And for my guests, I want to thank you for being on my show. It's a huge honor, and it's a huge honor having you on my show. And um, looking forward to having more conversations with you on my show to help inspire and motivate the next generation of listeners. So, with that in mind, folks, cheers, folks, and we will see you in the next episode.